day to you viewers, the Colonel speaking to you live from the Grange for British Imperial YouTube Broadcasting. Today we've got a real treat for you, a travel treat. Here we have an Hamburg American Travelogues, A Day in Gross Berlin, Parts 1 and 2 by E.M. Newman, number 1. Yes, this is number 1 obviously. And it's number 32355, produced by the Travel Record Department of the Hamburg American Line, 45 Broadway, New York. New York. So good they named it twice. No, that's actually what it says. I think this dates from probably 1910, around that sort of period, and the Hamburg American Line were a shipping line, of course, and obviously these records were produced presumably with a booklet for prospective travellers to actually, well, have a bit of a guide to the European cities. Well, this one was the first one. Gross Berlin. Here we go. I'll change over halfway through.
A Day in Berlin. A short time ago, a straggling village on a sandy plain, Berlin, the Kaiser's capital, is today one of the most beautiful cities in the world. We enter the city by way of the Brandenburg Gate, surmounted by 4 bronze horses, which were taken to Paris by the French in 1807 and restored in 1814. The Brandenburg Gate forms the entrance to Unter den Linden, a magnificent thoroughfare bordered by imposing buildings. Following the Linden, we come upon the monument of Frederick the Great, and impressive and masterly work by Professor Rauch, who committed suicide because he forgot to put spurs on the boots of the king. At the other end of the Linden, crossing the Palace Bridge, we come to the Lustgarten, originally a garden of the palace. The royal palace rises on one side, on the other the new cathedral, and opposite is the old museum. The cathedral was built at a cost of $3 million. In the Hohenzollern burial vault, beneath it, lie 87 members of the present reigning family. The old museum nearby, with its Ionic portico of 18 columns, is very impressive. It is adorned with colossal groups in bronze, marble statues, and frescoes. Within is a notable collection of sculptures, antiques, and other art treasures. Adjoining the old museum is the National Gallery, surrounded by Doric colonnades and embellished with flower beds. The development of German painting and sculpture since the end of the 18th century is seen here at its best. Crossing the Lustgarten, we come upon the splendid national monument of Emperor William I. The old Kaiser, attired in a field cloak, is mounted on a bronze horse, led by a figure of peace, surrounded by statues of 4 victories and lions amid trophies and banners. Not far distant is the chief artery of traffic, the Leipziger Strasse, on which are located the best shops and some of the handsomest buildings in Berlin. And here we will rest for just a moment before concluding our visit.
Right, and that's what we'll do. This bloke's got an odd voice. It's not that I'm playing it a bit fast.
We now visit the Avenue of Victory, created by the present emperor and ornamented with 32 marble statues of Brandenburg Prussian rulers, beginning with the first and continuing down to date. The Avenue of Victory leads us to the Tiergarten, a large and attractive park with miles of beautiful drives in the heart of the city. In this vicinity rises the Column of Victory, one of the most imposing monument of its kind. In its fluting, there are 3 rows of captured Danish, Austrian, and French cannon. Nearby is the Reichstagsgebäude, or the Hall of the Imperial Diet, which was built at a cost of $6 million. The Diet Chamber has seats for 397 deputies and corresponds with the National House of Congress in Washington. Rising in front of the Reichstag is a memorial to the Iron Chancellor Bismarck, a fitting tribute to a great man. We now visit the Zoological Garden, where is located a large and important collection of rare animals. Charlottenburg, with its mausoleum, is next visited, where are buried Queen Louise, her husband Frederick William III, Emperor William I, and Empress Augusta. In the environs of the city is Potsdam, where the summer palace of the Kaiser is situated. It is a handsome marble edifice surrounded by a beautifully wooded park. Here also is located the palace of Sanssouci, at one time occupied by Frederick the Great, who for several years shared his home with Voltaire. The life of Frederick the Great recalls the story of the obstinate miller who refused to sell his mill to the king, and it still stands as an interesting reminder of that time. Nothing in Potsdam leaves a more lasting impression than the Chinese astronomical instruments brought to Germany from China after the Boxer Rebellion, which were later generously presented to the Kaiser. These views of Berlin, a city of architectural beauty and splendor, are intended only as a prelude to a later and more minute description of its art and life. Additional travel records covering the principal cities in Europe may be obtained from the Travel Record Department of the Hamburg American Line, 45 Broadway, New York City.
Well, that told us, viewers, what a nice place Berlin sounds like in 1910. Apparently it's rather like Milton Keynes nowadays. What a shame. Thank you, viewers, and goodbye.